This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com and GatheringMagic.com, your place to explore the game.
Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Divine Shadow here, and this is my Tasigur EDH. Let's do this.
Alright guys, so the point of this deck is to self-mill, hit living death after traumatizing yourself and casting a bunch of stuff, or breaking off the Mike Trike combo to deal infinite damage to everybody but yourself. So we start off with 6 islands, revised, beautiful, pink. 5 swamps, 4 forests. Oh yeah, and one quick tip for this type of deck is that you want to have as much stuff go into the grave. That includes fetch lands, so I only have 3 right now because I went on a fetch selling spree not too long ago, but get every single one in here if you can. It's just way better. Watery Grave, Breeding Pool, and Overgrown Tomb, the beautiful Shocks, Proxy Duels. If you're going to be using this in tournament play, I just use this for casual, but in tournament play, these would definitely just be fetches. Two Pain Lands, because we don't really care about taking damage early game or late game. 2 Scry lands, because Scry is really beneficial. Temple of the False God, adding 2 mana to your mana pool, or if you have Urborg on board, this just becomes a swamp. This is a terrible thing to get early game, but it's a great land, period. You have to run it. Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, everything becomes a swamps, and swamps become double swamps, because swamp. And the last land we have is a command tower. What commander deck would be complete without a command tower? Now on to our 3 enchantments. We are running a Sylvan Library for consistent draws, Pernicious Deed to deal with pesky tokens, and also this is another board wipe, and a Leyline of Anticipation because flash is very beneficial, and getting this out immediately in the beginning is just awesome. We have 4 artifacts, an expedition map to search out duels, shocks, whatever, a soul ring, Codex Shredder to self-mill and get stuff back later in the game, Nevinyrral's Disc, another near board wipe, gets rid of creatures, artifacts, and enchantments, doesn't hit planeswalkers, wish it did, but yeah, it's pretty good. Onto the sorceries, Rampant Growth, Ramp Spell, Life from the Loam, get back lands that we've tossed away, Demonic Tutor, more ramp, Victimize to take our combo out of the grave if we don't have Living Death, so Mike and Trike if you got rid of them traumatized but you don't have your Living Death, Skyshroud Claim, one of the best ramp spells in my opinion, because it gets any forest, so get both of your duels. Diabolic Tutor, another tutor. Rite of Replication, the alternate win con to this deck. Basically, if you've made a copy of something 5 times, it's just, yeah, 5 tokens of something non-legendary is amazing. Damnation, because blowing stuff up is really fun, and not being able to regenerate it is even better. Traumatize, this card's one card that you definitely normally not see in EDH unless you're playing, I think it's Lazav. But this deck is all about Traumatize and Living Death. Traumatize is target player puts the top half of his or her library rounded down into his or her graveyard. So we essentially dump half of our deck and then hopefully find what we're looking for. This deck does not run Tooth and Nail because my playgroup has banned it because it's just too powerful, which is understandable. It's a ridiculously good card. In tournament play, though, definitely would use it if I could. Forbid, probably one of the best counter spells besides a Force of Will. It's, you can buy it back by discarding 2 cards. In this deck, we don't care about losing stuff in our hand. We want it to go to the grave to get benefit out of playing Tasigur for as little mana as possible. And then you have another counterspell. Urban Evolution, draw 3 cards, play an additional land. For 5 mana is not too bad. Living Death, this is the card that also makes this deck ridiculously fun to play. Each player exiles all creature cards from his or her graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures he or she controls, then puts all cards he or she exiled this way onto the battlefield. Get this to go off after traumatizing yourself as early as possible before your opponents can get anything in the grave. That way they lose all value, get maybe some sort of ramp card back from the grave, like a Sakura Tribe Elder or something, and you've got rid of their amazing board state, and you basically reverse the roles, and you're in the best position at that point. Recurring Insight for extreme draw power. See the Unwritten. We want other ways to maybe get Mike and Trike on board. This is not a guarantee at all, but it's good because you can also get other good creatures in this deck, like Sheoldred or something, to help benefit the stuff that you also tossed away that you didn't want in the first place. And with the Ferocious Trigger and Tasigur on board, you can put 2 things. Treasure Cruise, because who doesn't like drawing 3 cards for 1 mana? Clone Legions, it's a new card. It's a tricky one to really say. Basically, your opponent gets an amazing board state. You're not happy that they have that amazing board state. You now also have that amazing board state, plus whatever else you had. An incredible card to stay on equal footings with your opponents. And the last sorcery is Temporal Trespass. Take an extra turn, delve 8, pay triple blue. Only extra turn card I play because my playgroup's really against extra turns, but I can get away with this one. Death Denied to get back good creatures like Eternal Witness or Sidisi Undead Vizier, so you can use them to either retrieve something from the grave or use Sidisi to tutor. Cyclonic Rift, because your opponent gets a really powerful board state. We can't has that. Counterspell, counter target spell. Dissolve, counter spell, scry 1. Dissipate, counter spell, exile it. Krosan Grip, the split second on this card is an amazing ability on the stack and really prevents the opponents from actually being able to do a certain amount of stuff. Like, I don't really know how to explain the stack, so it's not something that's my forte, but this is just an amazingly good card because of its split second, and it also destroys an artifact or enchantment. Rewind, pay 4, counter a spell, untap up to 4 lands, so essentially you can play this for free, but you still have to pay, but you get the stuff back. Proxied Force of Will, this would definitely be a Tooth and Nail if I had my Tooth and Nail still, because, like I said, this is just for casual play, this is not tournament ready, so this could either be a Tooth and Nail or a Crucible of Worlds, I think that's what it's called. Because getting advantage and then getting lands from the grave to play is also really good. Evacuation, an instant that returns all creatures to their owner's hands. Murderous Cut, because paying 1 black to destroy target creature is not bad at all. Chord of Calling with this deck was an idea of mine that I thought would work, and so far it has been really beneficial. Because what you do is after you Living Death, after traumatizing, you cast Chord of Calling, and you normally have that 3 green off just the creatures alone. You tap them, and then you search out Mycaius or Triskelion if you didn't get one of them and you got the other. So then it's just a win right there. Dig through time, look at the top 7, put 2 of them, 2 of the cards that you looked at into your hand, put the rest in the bottom of the library. can pay it for just 2 blue. Deathrite Shaman, eating stuff, damaging your opponent, getting mana, or gaining life. Sakura Tribe Elder, we get some little bit of ramp, and a blocker. Phantasmal Image, Clone, Eternal Witness, Retrieval, Dimmer Doppelganger, essentially a clone, Oracle of Moldiah, early game ramp, Clone, Clone. A Notion Thief, your opponent goes to draw off their own recurring insight or something, you flash this in, you draw the cards they would have drawn, and you have a 3/1. Counter creature spell. Glenelendra Archmage. Another fun combo with this deck is Glenelendra with Clever Impersonator. Clever Impersonator, or any clone really, but Clever Impersonator especially. Clever Impersonator will basically drop in as a copy of Glenelendra, and you can pay 1 blue to sacrifice and counter a non-creature spell, and then it will come back to the board because of Persist, but because it's coming in as a copy, it will get 2 persist. It will get its normal power instead of just coming in with the -1/-1 like Glen would. Really useful. Another clone. Wonder, when it's in the grave and you have an island, you have all your creatures gain flying. Brawn, same thing as Wonder, except you have a forest, they gain trample instead. Undead Vizier is a tutor. Prophet of Krufix. Untap all creatures and lands you control during your opponent's untap step, and you can cast creatures as though they had flash. It's really awesome. Mycaeus the Unhallowed, part of the combo. Mike Trike, everyone knows this. Mycaeus the Unhallowed and Triskelion are basically the win cons in this deck. They both hit the board, and then they both work together to deal infinite damage. Draining Well, counter creature spell. Doesn't counter creatures, it's a creature counter spell, which I should say. Harvester of Souls, Death Touch, whenever another non-token creature dies, you may draw a card. Progenitor Mimic, an insanely good clone that also copies and makes more clones every turn of what he is. Chancellor of the Spires, because playing an instant or sorcery from an opponent's graveyard for free is awesome. And then having a 5/7 body is not too bad. Sheoldred, to reanimate stuff and make your opponent sacrifice stuff. Tombstalker, a 5/5 flyer with Delve, so you can pay it for just 2 black after delving away 6 things. Ghoultree is an 8 mana 10/10, but its ability is Ghoultree costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. So you can essentially, after traumatizing, pay 1 green, put a 10/10 on board. Whoops. And finally, the last creature is Inkwell Leviathan. 7/11 with Trample, Island Walk, and Shroud. And lastly, the Planeswalkers. We're running a Jace Beleren to both make friends and have another way to mill if we can ultimate him. Kiora, the Crashing Wave. Whoops. Stuff's starting to fall. No. Kiora, the Crashing Wave. Her ultimate goes off. You basically have a huge advantage at that point. Liliana Vess, a tutor. Vraska the Unseen. Her -7 can either win you the game, or you can just -3 and blow up something that's bothering you. And Ugin for that massive exile wipe, board wipe, whatever you want to say for it. Or you can do his -10 and get super benefit off it. Thanks for watching, Commander Decks. Like, favorite, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time.